The title of this video might sound ridiculous because most people assume the goal of a podcast is to have as many listeners as possible. So why would anyone prefer 30 listeners instead of 30,000? Well, the answer becomes clear when you understand how value is created in B2B podcasting. In consumer media, audience size is everything. Entertainment podcasts, lifestyle shows, and news channels depend on scale. The larger the audience, the more advertising revenue and influence they generate. But B2B works completely differently, because in most B2B businesses, you don't need millions of people to know who you are. You need a relatively small number of the right people to trust you. If you sell a high-value service, a handful of strong client relationships can drive the majority of your revenue. So the real question isn't how many people listen. The real question is, who are the listeners? Now, let's imagine your podcast had 30 listeners, but every one of them was a founder of a £10 million business in your city. Those 30 people would probably be far more commercially valuable than 30,000 random listeners scattered around the world. That's why the guest list matters so much in a B2B podcast. When you invite people into conversations intentionally, the show becomes more than content. It becomes a platform for building proximity to the people you want in your network. Those conversations create familiarity, and familiarity builds trust, and trust opens doors. Another interesting effect happens when your listeners are the same people you want to work with. They see you consistently engaging with respected peers. They hear thoughtful discussions about challenges they recognize. Over time, that builds authority quietly but effectively. The audience may be small, but the relevance is extremely high. This doesn't mean audience growth is bad though. Of course it's great when more people discover the show, but in B2B, scale is not the primary objective, relevance is. A smaller audience made up of the right people can create far more commercial value than a large audience that has no connection to your work. That's the mindset shift many businesses need to make when they start a podcast. Instead of chasing big numbers, focus on meaningful conversations. Focus on credibility. Focus on proximity to the people who matter in your ecosystem. If you do that consistently, the audience will grow naturally over time. But even before it does, the relationships and positioning can already be delivering value. If you're curious about what a podcast designed around relevance rather than scale might look like for you and your business, there's a link below where you can find out a little bit more about how we could help. We can talk you through how it might work and whether it's the right approach for you. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.